Welcome to the Trades Podcast, a podcast about the business of home improvement and promoting the trades to young adults. That's right, everybody. Welcome. This is the Trades Podcast. We're super stoked to be out here. I'm DJ Danny.
And I'm Jeff.
Yup, and we got Cliff in the house. Cliff Brooks, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you, Danny.
Yeah, we got the Pest in Class. The Pest in Class. I love the name.
That's right. Thank you.
It's super exciting. One, just to always learn a little bit more about different regions of the country and, parts of the world, and just kind of seeing exactly what it is that you're working on and what your company's got going on and just how we got connected. But let's start it off with you introducing yourself and your company to the Trades Podcast world.
All right. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate you guys having me. I really like what you're doing here. My name is Cliff Brooks. I am a part owner of Pest In Class, Exterminating. We're a fairly new company. We've been open for about 2.5 years here in Johnson City, Tennessee. That's up in Northeast Tennessee near the North Carolina and Virginia border. We're kind of right in the middle there. We actually operate in Tennessee and Virginia, but not in North Carolina. I've been in pest control for a little over, I'd say 5 or 6 years. I guess I started in 2019. And I worked for a different company, and that actually, I learned a lot about business through that. Because being a pest control, just even a technician, if you have the acumen and the interest, you'll actually learn a lot about what it takes to run a business in general. If you start thinking about how you can price things, if you're selling a service to somebody, and then you start to think about what goes into that service, how much material, how much labor, all the overhead costs, fuel, time, all these things that a lot of times you may not think about it if you're just earning a wage, but when you start, actually producing on an individual level for a pest control company, some of those things start to come into focus, or at least they did for me. So we started the business, myself and a partner. We felt like that we had a good handle on the market, we had a good handle on the business, and we were both really good at the service. My business partner, Joe Barry, he's been in pest control, for 12, 13 years, or he had been when we started. Myself, I worked in mental health for 19 years before I got into it. So, that's a quick rundown of how I got where I am and what Pest In Class is. And we just try to pride ourselves on being the best available. It's not really about competing on price. It's not really about, branding. Really what it is we want to be the best. And, we put that into all our services and everything we do. It's more about quality than, just getting your business.
Absolutely. I always try to look at websites for our guests, and it's really evident in the website that every process, treatment plan that you guys put together talks about we want to do the best job as we can. So that's a great way to start off a business, is quality.
Well, one of the things we ran into, Joe and myself, in working for other companies, is we were usually kind of the outstanding employees because we tended to be good at the job, but also have good work ethic. So, we kind of became the guys that you send out when your customer's not happy. And so to me, that's kind of a problem in and of itself. And that's one of the reasons that he and I said, this is something we could do on our own. And, the idea that we had in mind is to offer the best service possible so that you're not having to send people back out to kind of make it up for the customer. You want to have quality technicians. So that's been our goal starting out, is he and I are running most of the routes ourselves. And we've had a couple of guys part-time. My brother actually works for us, and a young man that Joe went to church with, a 20-year-old young man. They both started working for us, and we don't really need them to do routes right now. But the goal is we want to have them experienced and prepared, and we want to be confident to send them out on their own and not have to worry about going behind them and explaining to the customer why the job wasn't done up to snuff. So therefore, it's worth it to us, even though it's a little less money in our pocket off the bat, to go ahead and have these guys trained right to where we're confident in them and we know we're sending out the best technician that we can.
Absolutely. It's a great attitude to have going into a new business. Set you up for success.
We want to thank our sponsor. Superior Flooring Cabinet Designs is one of the landmark family-owned businesses in Encinitas.
Owner Cheryl Robinson, with years of customer experience managing her family's hardware and cabinet business in North Park. Cheryl Robinson and the Superior team dive deep to learn about your project and help you find the perfect solution for your flooring and cabinetry needs. Call today at 760-436-0900 or visit www.superiorfloors.com.
And we can.
Absolutely. It's a great attitude to have going into a new business. Set you up for success.
And
Definitely.
since you mention it, that's that's another thing. A lot of we really do want to set these guys up for success. Our young man that's working for us, Ethan, he's 20 years old, and we actually told him he's in welding school. And when he started Pest, he said, "Oh, I really like this. I'm just going to quit welding school." And we said, "No, we actually we want you to continue. If you're going to work for us, we want you to stay in welding school. Once you finish, if you decide you want to go do welding or you decide you want to do Pest, we'll support you either way. But uh, don't give that up, since because he'd wanted to be a welder since he was probably 13, and so he'd started taking that class after high school, and so he's finishing up now, and he may or may not stay with us. We're not really sure, but we want to set him up for success, whether it's with us or not, because I think that a lot of, especially young men, but really young people in general, um, they kind of get the short end of the stick when they go out into the workforce, because it's always like, um, if you got even a modicum of intelligence, guidance counselors, they want to stick you on the university path. And instead of recognizing that the trades actually require intelligence, if you're into some building, for example, I mean, you're going to be using geometry. You're going to be using, if you're in architecture, you're going to be using calculus. So all these different plumbing, none of it is a simple job. And that's the kind of way I feel like a lot of academia views it, as this is a simple job. Let's send the kids who aren't academically inclined to these areas, because that's really the best we can hope for them, when really we're over, in my opinion, overproducing people with college degrees that aren't going to benefit them. Like, sure, if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a dentist, you should go to college and get that degree. But or even a business major. But it seems like that, to me, from my experience, and it's been 25 years ago, and then my son's experience within the last few years, that the guidance system immediately spots people who they believe are inclined to intelligence or in academia, and they push them that way at an overwhelming rate, to where there's not enough people being encouraged to go into the trade. So I'm really glad at what you're doing, and I'm glad that you're pushing to make the trade, if you want to call it, make the trades respectable again. They should have never been disrespected, but they really have been. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, appreciate that, Cliff. And you bring up a really good point about how people are judged in high school. So they're judged on their ability to pass tests and get good grades, not on their ability to learn. We all learn at different modalities. So somebody that's doing carpentry work, as an example, they learn by repetition, their hands, visual, not paperwork. Doesn't make them less smarter or more smarter based on what you're doing. It's the decisions you make in life and how you apply yourself. So what you're doing with the young man that works for you, you're allowing him to make decisions in his life that will affect his future, but also his happiness. What will give him satisfaction? You know.
Well, like I said, it's personal for me too, because of my son kind of went through, and I guided him, but I let him ultimately make the decision. A lot of people said that the trades are dead and that there's no trades in school, which is just not true. At least in our area, we have a very robust trade infrastructure in our local county schools. I mean, you have each county high school has a different specialty. There's one like the Hampton High School. They have like an off-road diesel shop and mechanic, and there's another school that has an auto body shop. Another school has agriculture, and then there's also a pipeline to straight into if you want to go into electrician school. The local community colleges, you can get your prerequisites for that and go right into that. And I think you can even do that while you're still in high school. So the local schools, they have a system where uh, boys and girls in their junior years, after they've gotten their basic high school prerequisites down their first 2 years, they have the option to go around and check out the different trades at each school. So they'll actually get picked up from their school and taken on a bus over to a different school, and they can check out the ag department and see what it's like to work in, meat cuttings, things like that. They can go to another school and do auto body, so on and so forth. Um, but I thought that was a really good program, and that was what my son was on the path to do. But he, like you said, he was a really good test taker. He's really good at memorizing information. So, of course, the college path, jumps on that. And what they did was they gave him the opportunity to join what they called a middle college program, which was done through a local 2-year university, Northeast Northeast State University, and it gave them the opportunity to earn their associate's degree at the same time as their high school degree. They would go ahead and take
Wow.
classes in the college. And, this sounds like a really good thing. Uh, my son and I talked about this, and he decided he wanted to go ahead and go through and get the associate's degree. So he finished that. But when it came time when he actually started college, I feel he was really unprepared for it, because it seemed like more than actually preparing him for a life of academia, what they were doing was making it easy for these students to coast through and get their associate's degree so that the program could be touted as a success. And that was just my reading of it. Um, but my son was unprepared when he did go into his university path, and that he got started on a math degree, and they put him in three advanced mathematics classes that really you should only be taking one at a time. We're talking, he had calculus and stuff in high school, so these are collegiate, high level math classes that they somehow got him to take three at a time. And he did do well. And right now he's working at a gas station. I'm trying to encourage him to come work for me, but I just feel like he probably would have been better served going through that trades program and trying out different things and find something that sticks with him. And I know my son well, and I think something that he always liked moving and organizing things. So if he could operate a tow motor, or work at a warehouse logistics, something like that, I think that'd be really good for him, and that's something he could have been guided towards. Uh, but you know, I think a lot of the people that are pushing towards academia are well-meaning, but I think a lot of times, especially when you have like a standardized system of high school guidance counselors, they kind of all read the same publications, they go to the same meetings, they're on the same email chains, and they'll push a lot of students into a direction. For me, example, when I was in college, I got pushed into the physical therapy program because you only needed a 4-year degree. This was back in 1999, 2000. You only needed a 4-year degree to practice physical therapy at the time because there was a shortage of physical therapists. But all these guidance counselors, I guess, read the same publication, and they pushed a bunch of kids into physical therapy at the same time. While I was still in college, you had to basically have a master, um, to start practicing, and then you'd need a bachelor's in physical therapy to work as an assistant, where before you could do the assistant job on an associate's degree and operate as a physical therapist as a bachelor. And to today, you really have to, if you want to have a practice, you have to be a doctor of physical therapy. And I believe it's because they overloaded the whole country probably did it. Too many, not enough physical therapists. Everybody push your, kids in the medical field to physical therapy. Uh, so I think they're well intentioned. I don't think they wanted to set me up to fail or anything like that, but I just feel like uh, academia is not for everybody, and we have a certain, there's a smaller number of academic fields, and I think that we should really, that should be reserved for people who have the drive to do that, to do one of those jobs where you really need it, rather than, pushing people into it.
Yeah. Quit grading the counselors on how many people they push into college as opposed to have they done the best thing for each individual student.
Agreed.
Come on, I got 90% of the kids to go to college, that's not the right thing to do. But that's how most high school counselors are graded.
And look
Yeah.
how many young people we have with a college degree that they're not able to find work in. Particularly, stuff like there's a lot of IT. A lot of our native population here has been, they've not been had access to the IT jobs that they were basically promised. If you go to school and learn how to do these things, there's going to be all these jobs waiting for you, and it's just not there. I mean, it's a whole other discussion, but there's the online debate right now is a lot about the H-1B visas, where people are importing people from other countries to do a lot of these IT jobs, and this is what a lot of our young people were counting on when they went to school.
And not only on the IT side of things, but even an experience that has been even implemented that we've heard through the podcast and some readings that I've had on articles is even teachers that have credentialed to come out and teach elementary all the way through high school are being brought in from different countries to fulfill those jobs. Which personally, I got my wife that's currently looking for that full-time permanent job as a teacher, knowing that those jobs are out there but maybe given off to someone else is a little it's a little worrisome on that piece, because that's exactly the path that you go through the university route to find out, okay, I should be able to get a job with this credential, the experience that I have, and move forward into a career. But that's just unfortunately just not what we're seeing right now in the current climate.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to people being able to come here and work if we need them, but I think we should make sure if we have qualified candidates and for that are our own citizens, that they should have the priority.
Yeah. And that's where with our even our previous guests we were talking about, where it's like, where if the resources are there, let's collaborate on those pieces, whether it's training programs being implemented in companies, how can we make that easier for a two owner company like yours, Pest In Class, to make it easier for one to attract, to retain, and continued education for new hires to understand that this is a viable piece. Absolutely. Let me see. It'll definitely it'll definitely keep the piece open up for more opportunities for companies.
Well, I'm glad we had you on, Cliff, because you seem like you're educated in not just what you're doing for your business, but in the problems that this whole country is facing as far as, you know, moving our workforce forward in a positive direction to fill the trades gap and, sending kids off to college that need to go there because that's the right thing for them, not just because it's um, tradition. But um, definitely want to hear more about Pest In Class. I love the name too. It's got a good ring to it.
I wish I could take
Um,
credit for it. That would be my business partner Joe's invention.
okay, well, that's fine. But um, so you guys both got some experience in it. Started off with high quality. What's your customer base? So you guys, you said you're going up into Virginia. How far do you guys travel?
Well, for right now, we're mostly staying in the Bristol area, the Tri-Cities area. There's about a 500,000 people in within a half hour of Tri-Cities, so we've got a pretty good customer base right there. We do go into Virginia some, mostly. I mean, we won't go up into like Abingdon um, for a big job. We really can't at this time because we don't have the customer base up there to just take on regular pest service. So we mostly stay right on the state line on that, Weber City, Gate City, Bristol. But for if we can make some money and go up there and do a bigger job, we'll do it. It's not that we don't want to service that. It's just that in order for it to be feasible for us to try drive that far, we're going to have to make more money than it'd be worth to ask the customer to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking geographically, it's a large area to service.
Yes.
So you spend a lot more time and gas and resources to be able to service a larger area. So yeah, one shots on bigger jobs, definitely a smart move.
And we're looking to expand up there eventually, but for right now, we're trying to stay within about 30 minutes of Johnson City. So we do go about an hour west of Johnson City because we do have more stuff down there. We've got some contracts with property management companies, hotels, and restaurants and stuff that makes it worth our while to travel down there because we can do them all in a string and do it in one shot and makes it worth the time.
Okay. And what variety of pests do you guys cover?
Well, general pests is going to be most of your household pests. Crickets, spiders, centipedes, ants, roaches, all the creepy crawlies that you normally see around the house. And then we also do rodent services with that, which is just rats and mice. Any other rodents are considered wildlife, so you have to have a separate license for that. But we do have a wildlife company that we work with and refer things to. And then we
Right.
also, the bloodsuckers, you got ticks, mosquitoes, and fleas. We do separate services for those. Those are generally a one-time service, and we offer a 30-day guarantee with those. I don't know if I said bed bugs, but if I did, bed bugs, we also do those.
I was going to ask, big bed bug problem out here?
It comes and goes, we seem to have waves of it. We had a pretty big wave last year, about 3 years before that in Johnson City. It's not been crazy this year, but we have regular bed bugs. We do, several a month usually.
Wow. Okay. Um, and there's a bug out here that I'm learning, cicada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that not really around the house, though, is it?
No, it's not really a structural pest. I mean, they're going to be in the woods mostly, and some people call them locusts. They're a large, they're like a large grasshopper kind of that. They come through and there's different broods. So there was a pretty famous one we had a couple of years ago, where we had our 7-year brood and our 13-year brood of cicadas that arrived at the same time. Actually, I think that was last summer. And usually what they'll come around and they'll hang out in the trees. They'll make all kinds of noise. They'll fly in ladies' hair and, just get all over the place and be general nuisance, but they're not really structural invaders and they die they don't live long after. Once you see them, they're going to be gone pretty close after that.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a big tree in the yard that I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they actually live underground. They brood underground, and it can take the nest can lie dormant for. There's a bunch of different ones. We've got 3, 7, 9, 13, a bunch of different kinds of them that come out in different intervals.
Yeah. So yeah,
I
that
mean,
was pretty interesting. Never heard anything about that in San Diego.
all right. Yeah, it's almost like a biblical plague sometimes when they're on, real thick, and they're just like the air's thick with them, and they're flying all over the place. Like I said, they do tend to end up in ladies' hair, and they grab on there, and they're hard to get out of it.
Wow. I've never seen a live one. I've seen the skeletons clamped onto the tree trunk. They were pretty good size. I would imagine that would freak out a lady having one of
Absolutely.
those things.
And the stink bugs too. They tend to like to get in ladies' hair.
Stink bugs. Now,
Yeah,
do they fly?
yeah, they do. We've got so our native species here is a green stink bug, and um, if I'm not mistaken, the brown marmoted stink bug that's our main stink bug pest around here was introduced in the 80s, and it's actually an Asian stink bug that they introduced to help control a certain population of aphids that were becoming an issue in agriculture. Now, at the same time, they also brought in the Asian lady beetle. A lot of people see them, they think they're ladybugs, but they're actually different. Your Asian lady beetle is going to be orange with a lot of spots, and your actual ladybug is going to be red with just a few spots. Now, your red ladybug, they're terrific for eating aphids, garden pests. They don't damage the plants. They eat spider mites, clover mites, all these different small pests that'll get on your garden. So a lot of times you get those in people with organic gardens. You can recommend them. You can order some ladybugs from the internet and actually set those loose on your plants, and they'll take care of it. But they imported a bunch of these Asian lady beetles to try to do the same thing. And while they are good at it, they reproduce out of control, and they also displace the native population. So I feel like that's happened a lot over the years. There's so many stories that you could tell where you introduce one species to get rid of a problem species, and then you couldn't get rid of them. So I don't feel like that's the
Created a
first
whole
time it's
new
happened.
problem. Yeah, interesting. And one of the things never see in San Diego is fireflies. Are they out here? Are they a pest at all?
No, they're not a pest. They come out usually starting in around June, July, early summer. They'll come out and they'll just kind of hang out in the trees. I'm not even really sure what they do, to be honest. But they're not a pest. They're not going to invade your house. You might have one fly in every now and then, but it was funny. My wife was talking. She said we should start a firefly reading room for the hippies to come in, and I thought that'd be a good lucrative business. Make you some lamps out of fireflies and have people
Yeah.
come in and pay to drink tea and read in the room with the fireflies.
No,
I have
Jeff
not
might be
seen
your
one,
first customer. I don't know if he's a hippie though.
but
But I mean,
I
it's
like
a lot of education. A
it
lot of
since
the
I was a kid.
the fireplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of education behind like the pests and especially for I have to call Jeff and you're an implant to Tennessee, Jeff's. For someone that doesn't know too much about all the critters and the insects that are out there, uh, is this something that's obviously a key piece to you guys' business that you guys are constantly just educating homeowners on how to treat and one to prevent bugs, but they end up calling you back, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. And Jeff, I'm sure you've heard all the rage in the industry the past several years has been IPM, or what is it? Integral Pest Management.
Integrated pest management.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it's basically the idea is let's determine the root cause of the pest problem, which is of course, it's important for you as a pest technician, but also for the homeowner. For example, one of the easiest examples it would be a homeowner who has mosquito problems, and their gutters are clogged, and they have standing water in their gutters all the time. Well, that's going to be an easy breeding place for mosquitoes. So you clean those gutters out, you may not even have a mosquito problem anymore. So that's one of the things we look at, and as far as homeowner education, but also for our technicians, because if you have the right conditions, it really doesn't matter how much you spray. If the conditions aren't corrected, the problem is going to keep coming back. So we definitely need to know that, and it's good that it's being implemented. But one thing that is key to remember that I try to keep in mind, and try to keep my technicians to keep in mind, is our customers. Even though educating them is a big part of it, our customers are calling us for a problem that they have, and they want to pay us and have a solution. So it may not always be feasible for them to mow that big field, but you may still need to be able to find a way to stop those pests that are bothering them without them taking that step that they should be taking. But like I said, they're calling us because they have a problem, and maybe they're not able, or maybe they're not willing to take these extra steps. So we still want to be able to provide service for those people, and really that's a big part of our business model. Is and the way I look at pest is one of my customers. He was more of a wealthy customer who had bought and sold several homes over the year, and he had bought a new home, and he said, what's it going to cost me to do the termite on it? So I gave him a price. He says, well, you got to do it. And that got me thinking about it. And I don't really think that many pest control companies really market themselves this way. But when I talk to my customers, I try to set it up as this is like a utility, especially your termite service. It is something that we need to look at it that way. It's just something you got to do. If you don't want the termites to eat your house, you have to have termite protection, especially here in the East Tennessee. We have, on average, we have 13 to 14 colonies of termites per acre, and we can have up to 100 colonies per acre in some areas. It's important to remember that the termites are not just a pest. They have a job in nature, and their job is to clean up the forest floor when all these old trees fall. they help recycle that material, and it keeps the forest healthy. Well, what have we done? We've moved into the forest, we've cleared all the trees out, and built houses on top of them. And what do we build the houses out of? Mostly what the termites eat, which is wood. Well, when you have a little moisture damage to that wood on your home, suddenly it becomes attractive to termites. So just on my, I've got a third acre here, so even on a third acre, there's going to be an average of 4 termite colonies. So do you really want to risk those, finding a place in your house where you've had a little moisture damage that you maybe didn't know about? Maybe your siding was leaking. You get a drip down behind it, and suddenly your OSB is decayed, and you've got termites that can sneak up through the blocks underneath the siding. You never even see them, and until they eat enough of the wood to where they make a hole in your drywall and start flying out from the inside. So basically that's not where you want to end up, because then you have to call a contractor too, because you got a lot of repairs to make at that point. So that's one of the reasons that banks require termite inspection in Tennessee when you get a loan to buy new property, is they're investing in that property. If you don't pay them back, they don't want to be sitting on a worthless termite eaten mound, and if you pay it off, you don't want to be sitting on a worthless termite eaten mound. So it definitely, we could do a better job of talking about it as like a utility, something that you just need to have as a homeowner. And then, the regular pest service, I try to put it like this: it's a subscription to not have pests. Now, it includes a certain amount of sprays each year, but ultimately the service that you're paying for is to not have pests inside your home. So if you, when with our regular services, we include free callbacks. So if you're not there when we spray, that's okay. We spray the outside, and that's where most of the pests are going to come from. And if you need us to come back, you just give us a call and we come back, because it's our job to get rid of the pests. So again, I like the idea of the subscription model. This is a service to not have pests. It includes a certain amount of sprays each year, but the main thing is we're not going to have pests inside your home.
So you definitely have a repeat customer when you're doing the right thing for the house or the customer's needs. What about termite inspections? You guys do those also?
I sure do. Yeah, we do a lot of inspections for. We include a termite inspection. If we set you up for a general pest, our initial service includes a termite inspection. So that gives us under the house. One, it gives us an opportunity for us and our technicians to upsell, but it also, gives us an opportunity to provide you. It's not just selling you something that you don't need. It's something that you actually need. And a lot of times when I go under houses, I won't actually find termites, but I'll find conditions that are conducive to them. So I'll say, hey guys, it's not an immediate thing, but you do have moisture seeping in over here. You do have this wood becoming deteriorated by the moisture, and you don't have termites now, but it is going to be an attractive target for termites in the future. I'm not trying to scare you, but I am trying to head this off before it becomes an issue. That's when it's the least expensive for you. That's when it's easiest on me. I actually make less money if I take care of it beforehand. But it's not all about the money. It's about the quality of the service. Money's important, but I'm not a happier man if I have to charge somebody $5,000 to do a termite service when I could have charged them 1,500 to do it beforehand. I'd much rather make my money off the 1,500 and have their home be intact, and not than make more money later and have them have to hire out a contractor or anything like that. So not only the karma or whatever you want to call it, just I don't think it's right, but also don't think it looks good on me as a businessman if I would rather make the money than protect your home.
Yeah. If you say you're doing a termite inspection and you're crawling the sub area, you're going to find possible earth to wood contact, cellulose debris in there, plumbing leaks, moisture problems because of the grading. There's a lot of different things that come into doing a good inspection in the sub area, and I'm sure you do a great job with all that. But from the customer's perspective, how many customers you want that have ever followed you into the sub area?
Very few. Every now and then I have one.
Yeah. One every other year.
Yeah, something like that. And you know, one of the things I actually work with a home inspector uh, pretty much exclusively around here. I've got a guy that I work with Holston Home Inspections. His name's Joshua Grant, and he's fairly new to the game, but he's as quality as they come. He takes his time and he does the inspections right. And like I said, that we call it Pest In Class because we want to do the best. So a big part of that is uh, having having a network of people that we can offer to our customers because we run into so many issues when we go into crawl spaces. I mean, anywhere where the problems that are causing the pests, even after we take care of the pests, the problems still need to be corrected. So I like having one of the things that I was working when I was working my last company. I would call the boss because a lot of times customers would need something. He said, "Oh, I don't know who to tell them to call." And I just felt like, well, that would be something that would be good for me to have as a network of people that I trust to know who to send people to. So anyway,
Yeah.
with Joshua, I've started working with him because I know he's going to get in there and do the inspection right. And I would run into, just as an example, one of the first termite inspections I did with this company. I went into the crawl space of a house that was being refinanced and had to have an inspection, and they'd already had the crawl space or had already had the home inspector out. And I went in there, and there was a huge puddle in the middle of the home where the main drain was dripping. I mentioned it to them because I also found termites under there, but I mentioned, oh, it's by that big puddle right in the middle. And they said, what big puddle? The home inspector said everything was okay in there. I said, well, there's no way he even went. I mean, he couldn't have even stuck his head under there if he had inspected properly. Or, I mean, he would have seen that there was water under there. So there there's a lot of people put a lot of trust in you as a tradesman, as somebody who's going to go into their home. And I want that trust to be warranted. I don't want to give anybody a reason to uh, suspect that my company is going to be doing anything untoward. So the best way to do that is just to do the job right and be honest with your customers the whole way. That's what we make that's our number one goal.
Absolutely. I mean, I've done a ton of termite inspections in my life, Cliff, um, and never considered myself a salesperson at all. I found that just coming out and, here's what I see. I think this is the best way to handle it. Here's why, you know, let the customers make the decision. And if you just give them a good, honest effort on the inspection and do a clear report so you can lay it out for them, that did more selling than any of the fancy talk you never could. But uh, so just run couple things. You ever have skunks in the sub area?
Yeah, and that's another one of those things. I've not run into one personally, but that's why I've got my buddies at Rogers Wildlife on call in case I do run into that. Now I've run into groundhogs, and those things are terrifying in the crawl space. Believe it or
Okay.
not. Yeah, they see the
I've
light,
never
they'll
hit
charge you.
groundhogs. Uh, Skunks, raccoons, cats that had a whole family in there the homeowner knew nothing about.
Uh,
Miniature pigs that the homeowner thought that was the best place for them. Had to crawl that. It's like, can't you get the pigs out first? Flooded. Um, one of the things that I think homeowners are very appreciative of is when you identify leaks, like around the toilet and the floor, subfloor is half rotted, but you can't tell from the top.
See it all the time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Doing that crawl, it's hard on the body. Hurts the knees, hurts the back. You wear a lot of knee pads. You breathe a lot of dust. You try to wear a mask and a respirator to minimize all that stuff. But you do a lot of good for a customer when you can bring back that information because uh, 1 out of 1,000 will maybe crawl a sub area and look.
Well, we have one customer. It's a pretty big condo association. I think it's about 80 some units, 3-bedroom condos, and we took over their pest and termite contract, and the old company was charging them a lot each year for their inspections. And we said, hey, look, we can do a base station system. Since this treatment that you had was old, we can put this base station system in. It's going to freshen it up, and it won't require the annual inspections. And now I'm a recent convert, to Trelona ATBS bait stations. A lot of the active bait stations in the past I felt like weren't up to snuff, but these things are really great. And they kill all the termites within 20 feet of them within a year, and then they only require annual inspections compared to some of the older active systems that require quarterly inspections. And they also don't require a crawl space inspection. So we were trying to save them some money on this, and so we put this in. But then they called us this fall and said, "Hey, we actually get separate crawl space inspections just because when we had the old company and they were doing the inspections for the termite renewal, they would actually get into the crawl space, and when they saw other things down there, they could let us know about them. And now we don't have anybody going in regularly, so we said, yeah. So that even though our goal was to save them money, they found that actually having us to go in that crawl space, in addition to replacing those cartridges, was worth it for them to keep an eye on their properties.
100% identified so many problems that saved, cost them some money, but didn't cost them as much as if they would have never known about it.
Exactly.
It's
And
too late.
I found a lot of half-inch copper pipe. Seems like in the 90s that a lot of the construction around here went to half-inch copper pipe from 3/8. And I almost never see pinhole leaks in 3/8 inch pipe, but I see it all the time in copper pipe, in half-inch copper pipe, just constant pinhole leaks. I couldn't tell you how many of those I've seen doing termite inspections, and people had no idea because it was just a mist spraying out of it. But it really wasn't costing any water, but you constantly have mist spraying in your crawl space. It's got to end up somewhere, and that usually ends up with a wood destroying fungus or a termite or carpenter ant issue.
Yep. Yeah. What other bugs that in this area that most people in other parts of the country might not experience?
Well, I think we have our spiders. I don't know. I think everybody has their own spider population. Pretty much spiders are active all over the country. Like my brother, he lives on the other side of the mountain in South Carolina, and he gets run over with the Joro spiders. But we have a lot of wolf spiders, fishing spiders, um, giant wolf spiders. A lot of people see these little guys that are actually grass spiders, and they have the same markings as a wolf spider, but they're only about like 3/8 to a half inch wide. Where a wolf, I got 3/4 to an inch, and then you have a giant wolf, they'll be 3-4 inches across. And your giant fishing spider, I've seen those guys. Gosh, I don't know, 8 inches across. I mean, and they're gigantic. A lot of times when I see those is in like a flooded crawl space. You're talking about a flooded basement or flooded crawl space. Those guys actually eat the little. They're called a fishing spider because they actually go down in the water and grab the little wildlife out of the water and eat it. So minnows, stuff like that. You may not have minnows in your crawl space, but you probably have polywogs and mosquito larvae, and they'll just dive down in there and chow down.
8 inch.
They're pretty massive. A lot of people, when they see them, they call them a wolf spider, but it's the dark fishing spider is what we have here. That's the most prevalent big spider. But we do have giant wolves, but they're like I said, 3-4 inches is about as big as they get, which is still a good sized spider. But we definitely have bigger. We do have brown recluse and black widow in this area. That's our two venomous spiders. They're not as dangerous as a lot of people make them out. And a lot of times, in fact, when people go to the ER for a brown recluse bite, they're told they had a black recluse bite or brown recluse bite. It's actually just a staph infection, which you can get from a lot of different kinds of spiders. My father-in-law, he has an issue with them. He put one on and had a motorcycle helmet. It was just a house spider, a cellar spider, as we call them. And it bit him, and he got a staph infection and had a big knot on his head. Had to go on antibiotics. But the brown recluse can cause this. At the bite side, it does cause neurosis of the flesh. around the area that the bite occurs. But it's not necessarily going to rot your leg off, though it can. You should definitely go to the hospital if you get bit by one and make sure you're all right. But it's pretty unlikely that you're going to encounter one, let alone get bit by it, though it does happen. And then the black widow, they're a lot more prevalent. They call it the brown recluse for a reason, because it is pretty reclusive and you're hardly ever going to run into them unless you're digging around like place you're going to, like around an old building. If you got a bunch of leaves and cinder blocks and stuff piled up around it, that'd be a good place for them. In a building nobody goes in, stuff like that. But they're generally going to run away from you. Where the black widows, they're going to be all over everything. They're going to be under your siding joints. They're going to be around your doorways. I find them pretty much in any enclosed area, like tight enclosed area that stays dark and kind of dry all year. Like my rat stations that I put around the house, I find black widows in those a lot of times. But the black widow, it can make you sick. It can give you flu-like symptoms if you catch a bite from it. But if I'm not mistaken, the last time anybody died from a black widow was like it was like a sick old lady or a sick baby in the 1960s. So it's not something to take lightly, but it's not really, technically it's life-threatening, but it's not really something to worry about. Just, don't stick your hand in a black widow or rip around a close nest.
Yeah, but they tend to hurt a little more though too.
Yeah, they're like a wasp thing, I think.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, I imagine between you guys' work and careers, present and past, that it's only bound that you're going to get bit a couple times.
Oh yeah. Now bed bug bites, that's what you don't want. Now I've had those, and man, that's the itchiest I've ever been in my life. And I even recognized it as a bite, and I didn't scratch it because I knew if I scratched it, it would itch worse. But oh, man, you talk about itchy for about a week.
Yeah.
I was in a single wide trailer, and these people had it was one of those 1970s trailers that has the furniture built into the wall. So it basically had furniture all around the bedroom, and in the bedroom there was a king or California king mattress that there was no room to even walk around. So I had this mattress stood up and was treating it for bed bugs. And at some point, the mattress fell on me. I got bit 4 times on my arm. And yeah, I'm not going to let that happen again.
Full
Yeah.
length coveralls, duct tape on the wrist and the ankles.
Yep. And always strip when you get home. Strip off in the garage, throw your clothes straight in the washing machine. Especially
It's
if you
that.
don't want your wife to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, change of businesses. Wow, some pretty cool stuff we got to talk about, Cliff. Anything you want to tell us about your business model that customers would like to hear about?
Sure. I like to think of it as a subscription service. So I will personalize your plan to whatever you need. Like if you live by the lake and you're having a lot of spiders, you're probably going to need me to come more often. You're probably going to need me to come every month. If you don't want spider webs on your house, a lot of pest companies say they can't do anything about spiders. Well, that's not entirely accurate. There's spiders, a lot of pest companies, it's the easy thing to say, well, you just can't do anything about spiders. But there are key places that you can hit with repellent pesticides to cut back on spiders. Obviously, you're not going to spray down the entire square footage of the exterior of the house. But if you look at a place like a column on the porch, and if you leave that alone, there's a pretty good bet you're going to get spiders on it. So we're gonna come by and spray that really good, and also remove the spider webs. This discourages them from rebuilding. Whereas the only other reason that you might really need monthly is if you have cockroaches, German cockroaches inside the house do need to be dealt with monthly. They have a 28-day life cycle, so we have to break that life cycle to get rid of them. And if you want green pesticide, if you want an organic option, we do offer that. We have a mixture of thyme, cedarwood, rosemary, and lemongrass oil. Has just a little bit of sodium lauryl sulfate in it too, as a non-active ingredient. It's basically like a soap. And this we can apply this monthly, and it does a pretty good job at repelling pests, especially spiders. I've actually had a lot better results with it than I expected, but it does have to be applied monthly. Now, if you live, most people around here you might live on the edge of the woods. You might live, you know, in a subdivision with woods all around you. You're probably not going to need pest control every month. So we can set you up either on a bi-monthly or a quarterly plan, just depending on what you need. And what we do is mix the pesticides stronger. We have, and Jeff, I'm sure you know all about this, but for our listeners, we have a lot of different kinds of pesticide concentrates, and we can mix these at different dilutions. And not only will they be stronger, they'll actually last longer. One, as an example, is Suspend Polyzone. It's made by Bayer or Indu now, but the product has an active ingredient that when I mix it with water and spray it on the house, the water dries. It leaves behind not only the active ingredient, but one of the most important parts is the inactive ingredient. It leaves a polymer film that bonds to the surface of the home. And this actually holds the pesticide ingredient in place until the bugs come across it. And it's specifically engineered for the bugs to pick it up when they come across it. So if we mix it longer, it can last longer. One product we use, Onslaught Fast Cap, it has a residual killing power for spiders. If you treat an area, if I treat a non-porous surface uh, with this product at full strength, you can wait 3 months, and a black widow will walk across that treated zone, and it will die within 2 hours. So it really just means it depends. You have to know your pesticides, you have to know your pests, and you have to understand the environmental conditions that lead those pests to be able to take in and set up. So you really do need a good working knowledge of all of them, and really the only way is to get out and do it in the field and learn with somebody who's done it before. After that stage is over, generally most people only train about 90 days in pest control, and you really need more than that. You get a lot of it out on the field, because when you go out in the field, most of your services are going to be routine stops. So you're going to be doing routine services. And then when you run into things that you've not seen before, you got to have a structure in place for your technicians to call somebody and say, hey, this is something new. And you as the manager or, lead technician, need to be able to guide them to where they can do it on their own so they can learn. And, that's going to improve it's going to improve their overall experience as a technician, and it's going to improve the service that we provide our customers. So that's pretty big for me, is taking all three of those into account: customer education, our technician education, and having access to that's something I haven't mentioned, having access to the best tools. One of our main things is, when we've started off, we like a lot of the guys around here are just using B&Gs, which are 1 gallon sprayers. They're low volume sprayers, and they're maybe putting a half gallon on a 4,000 square foot house. And that's just not going to cut it. It's going to cost us more to use a backpack sprayer, and it's going to use more product to cover that whole house. But that house should have, depending on, all your different gables and siding joints, that house is going to need 2 to 4 gallons to treat it properly, to make sure all your entry points, because when we spray for pests, we cover the house, all the entry points, where the gas lines go in, where the electricity goes in, your vents, your siding joints, your roof, all the places that a pest could slide in there. Those are all areas we want to treat. So we want to make sure that we give our technicians the equipment they need to do that properly. So all our trucks have multiple backpack sprayers, so that we can have a dedicated sprayer for repellent products, a dedicated sprayer for non-repellent products like Termidor, which are great for ants because they transfers, and wasps also transfers from one insect to the other, and it's also non-detectable by the insects. So there's a lot to know, but we try to make sure that our techs have the right ingredients they need to get started, and they always have the help they need if they run into something that they haven't seen before.
Absolutely. Just having a conversation with you, Cliff, it's quite obvious that pest control, termite treatments, how to service a customer's house. Quite impressive. And I've been in the industry a long time, so for me to say that is highly, highly recommend
Well, thank you.
any in the area that's needing pest control to get a hold of Cliff. And Pest In Class Exterminating is obviously set up to do a really good job for them. As we're ending up here, though, Cliff, want to make sure you give out any contact information. Anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Yes, sir. You can get a hold of us at 423-282-1358, or we're at PestInClass.com, or you can come to our Facebook or Instagram pages and get a hold of us that way. One of the things that we do on our Facebook page is we do a featured pet, and the reason we do that is because myself and Joe, our owners, as well as most of our customers, I'd say 95% of our customers have pets. And one of the first questions that we get is this safe for my pets? And obviously, as a pet owner and as somebody who has children, and most of our people have families also, this is a valid concern. There's all kinds of news stories about pesticides, hurting people back in the day, having unintended effects. The pesticides today are a lot safer than what we used to use. They're formulated. The ones that we use are all formulated specifically for residential areas. So, um, when these products are applied correctly, and that just means keeping the animals and people away from them while the areas are treated until they dry, there is very minimal risk of any interaction. We've never had one. I don't want to jinx us, but we've never had an interaction where a pet had a bad reaction to a chemical. Now, inside, we always use an EPA approved reduced insecticide, or reduced risk insecticide, which means it has low possibility of harm to non-target animals, among other things. But that's our number one goal. If none of it works if we make you or your pet sick. So we post that pet of the day to show all of our other potential customers that our customers have pets, we have pets, and almost all the services that we provide are for people with pets. And we have all the information if you need, safety data sheets and all this stuff. We have all that available. But the long story short is, if these pesticides are applied in accordance with the label, there's very minimal risk to anybody other than the target pest, which is why education and experience is so important.
Yeah. So you're using not using it. The pet of the day is a customer's pet, I take it, in most
Sometimes I put mine
cases.
up there just because I'm proud of my puppies, but yeah. Yeah, and we don't
That's
do it every day, but we do because we'd have a lot of repeats if we did it every day. But it was the pet of the day eventually, but initially, but now we just got the featured pet. We have horses, chickens, snakes, pigs. My pet of the day today, I haven't posted it yet, but it was a old boar sow that roots around for acorns while I'm spraying the house. It always runs away when I come up.
That's funny.
cool. Well, I
Awesome.
appreciate you taking the time to get on the Trades Podcast, Cliff.
Well, thank
Definitely
you,
have been
Jeff, and thank you,
very
guys.
educated.
You're welcome. No, thanks for sharing your light out there in Tennessee, and sound like you and Jeff are pretty close by. So hopefully you guys get a chance to meet up and network a little bit more in that area. It's just again, this is what it's about, bringing everybody together here on the Trades Podcast. Where you get to hear different stories, different areas, different expertise, different industries. So again, just thanks for shining the light on that. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you, Danny, and Jeff. You guys, I'm glad you approached me. Jeff ran into me in a parking lot and approached me, and I'm glad we got the chance to talk. It's been a fun time, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. As I said from the beginning, we need to make the trades respectable again, and I think you guys are really doing your part on that. So I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thanks, Cliff. Appreciate it.